Bayern Munich's new era has arrived, and it feels unlike anything the club has produced in years. Stronger structure, sharper transitions, and an attack that stretches opponents in every direction. Under Vincent Kompany, the team has turned into a unit that presses relentlessly, moves intelligently, and dominates possession without losing their edge. They look quicker, clearer, and far more stable than last season. And as the early signs suggest, this version of Bayern might genuinely be building towards something far more dangerous than anyone expected.
I have a huge opinion about Vini. It doesn't matter what's relegated or Barley. What I felt when I played against him, and I know him a little bit,
The new Bayern Munich project is defined by control. They keep the ball, they recover it quickly, and they attack with layers that overwhelm even experienced defenses. Kompany has given the team a structure that finally looks consistent again. The fullbacks push high, the midfield sets the rhythm, and the forward line rotates with purpose. This isn't a team relying on one star, it's an interconnected system. The early form, the numbers, and the overall patterns all point to a rebuild moving in the right direction. The rebuild begins. The rebuild became necessary after Bayern spent 2 seasons searching for stability. Kompany's arrival marked a shift toward clarity, a defined shape, clear roles, and more control in possession. The biggest early improvement has been consistency. Bayern has remained unbeaten in all competitions, and their underlying numbers tell the story. They average close to 60% possession, over 90% pass accuracy, and they press with far more coordination than before. Instead of playing in chaotic phases, Bayern now compress games into the opposition half and keep control through structured movement. The rebuild isn't about wholesale changes, it's about correcting fundamentals that had slipped. Kompany has reintroduced discipline without sacrificing creativity, and the team now manages matches in a calmer, more predictable way. Their Bundesliga dominance reflects this shift. They are scoring freely while conceding far less, and they look far more stable in transition than last season. Kompany's tactical identity. Kompany's Bayern does not rely on a single formation. On paper, it resembles a 4-2-3-1, but in practice, it shifts depending on the phase of play. At times, it resembles a 4-3-3, and in high possession sequences, it becomes a 2-4-4, with fullbacks and midfielders forming an advanced line. This fluidity allows Bayern to create overloads and sustain pressure high up the pitch. The principle is simple. Defend in a compact structure, transition with speed, and allow the front line to improvise in the final third. Kompany avoids rigid patterns. Instead, he focuses on spacing, rotations, and coordinated pressing triggers. The moment Bayern lose the ball, they compress the field and counterpress aggressively, often winning possession within seconds. This has produced one of Europe's most effective high-pressing systems so far. The identity is clear. Proactive, front-foot football that balances discipline at the back with freedom in attack. The new attack. Diaz plus Olise. Luis Diaz and Michael Olise have reshaped Bayern's wide play. Diaz brings directness, relentless running, aggressive dribbling, and immediate pressure without the ball. His involvement has restored a level of unpredictability on the left side that Bayern previously lacked. His connection with Harry Kane works naturally. When Kane drops into midfield, Diaz attacks the space behind, forcing defensive lines to retreat. On the right, Olise offers a contrast. He plays with calm precision, drifting inside instead of staying wide. His technical control, close dribbling, and delayed decision-making give Bayern an important creative balance. He functions almost like a secondary playmaker, receiving in half spaces and feeding Kane or switching play when needed. Together, Diaz and Olise stretch the pitch while maintaining composure in tight areas. Their profiles complement each other. One is intensity, the other is control. And paired with Kane's all-around game, Bayern finally have a multi-dimensional front line again. Defensive reinforcement. Ta plus structure. Bayern's defensive improvement has been one of the clearest changes of the rebuild. Jonathan Tah has provided calm decision-making, aerial strength, and reliable positioning. His partnership with Dayo Upamecano balances aggression and stability. Upamecano steps forward to contest duels, while Tah covers spaces and maintains shape behind him. This has reduced the chaotic moments that previously cost Bayern in big matches. Behind them, Manuel Neuer continues to dictate the build-up with his distribution, ensuring opponents cannot press Bayern easily. The fullbacks, Sasha Bowie or Konrad Leimer, push high but do so within a clearer structure, choosing attacking moments more selectively than last season. The result is a backline that supports Bayern's high pressing instead of being exposed by it. Transition defenses improve significantly, and the team's ability to defend with a high line depends heavily on Tah's positioning and Upamecano's recovery speed. Together, they form a more coherent defensive base. Why this Bayern terrifies people? What unsettles opponents the most is how Bayern remove every form of comfort from a match. They dominate possession, but it's not passive control, it's suffocating. Teams can't breathe because the moment Bayern lose the ball, 10 meters of space vanish instantly. Kompany's press switches on like a machine, hunting in waves, forcing long clearances, and dragging teams into mistakes they never planned for. Then there's the attacking aura. Diaz running at fullbacks until their legs give up. Olise drifting inside with that calm, almost arrogant precision. Kane dropping deep, creating problems, then appearing in the box a second later. And behind them is a midfield that rarely misplaces a pass and a backline that steps high without hesitation. This team presses, plays, and persists at a pace that breaks your spirit long before it breaks your shape. Hidden weaknesses. For all their dominance, Bayern still carry vulnerabilities that sharper sides can exploit. Their high line, for example, leaves wide open spaces behind when the press doesn't trigger perfectly. One mistimed step from Upamecano or a slow recovery from Tah, and elite counterattacking teams can punish them. And while Kompany's fullbacks offer endless energy, they often push so high that Bayern defend transitions with only 2 players. Not every opponent is brave enough to exploit it, but the ones who are, those with fast wingers and brave midfielders, can find joy. There's also a question of physical burnout. This system demands enormous intensity from Diaz, Olise, and Kane, who covers frightening ground every match. If injuries arrive at the wrong time, the structure becomes fragile quickly. Bayern are dominant, but they are not invincible, just really hard to catch on the right day. European outlook. In Europe, Bayern look like a team built for deep runs. Their ability to control tempo, dictate possession, and create chances from multiple angles make them incredibly difficult to prepare for across 2 legs. They don't just win matches, they impose their rhythm, turning Champions League nights into tactical suffocation. Kane's form alone gives them an advantage. A striker who creates and finishes at world-class levels is priceless in knockout football. Add Diaz's explosiveness, Olise's calmness, and a midfield that rarely loses the ball, and Bayern become a nightmare draw. But the Champions League punishes the smallest lapses. One moment of poor defensive spacing, one counterattack where the high line is caught flat, and a perfect performance collapses. Bayern have the tools to win it all, but Europe demands perfection, and perfection is the only standard Kompany is chasing. The bigger picture. What Bayern are building under Kompany is more than a good run of form. It's a complete cultural reset. They're playing football with conviction again, with a clear identity that blends structure, aggression, and freedom. The squad looks unified, the tactics have purpose, and the idea behind every decision feels intentional. Kane is not just scoring, he's elevating everyone. Diaz looks reborn. Olise looks like he belongs on the biggest stages. And the defense, once the club's biggest insecurity, now plays with assurance. Bayern finally feel like a team transitioning into a new era rather than clinging to an old one. It's the kind of transformation that doesn't just win matches, it builds belief. And that belief is spreading fast in Munich, from the dressing room to the stands. Bayern look ready for something bigger than just another trophy. Bayern under Kompany are a rare blend of structure, chaos, and brilliance. They play with an intensity that overwhelms teams, yet with a calmness that suggests everything is under control. The attack is fluid, the midfield precise, the defense renewed. And at the center of it all is a manager who has returned clarity to a club that lost its way. Bayern finally look like Bayern again. Dangerous, confident, and frighteningly complete. If you've enjoyed this breakdown of Bayern's transformation, there's more coming. This team is rewriting its identity in real time, and each match adds another chapter to the story. Stick around for deeper dives, more tactical explorations, and a full journey of the players driving this new era. Thanks for watching, and make sure you're here for the next one, because Bayern's rise is only getting started.